Azure Pipelines YAML GA, private AKS clusters, GitHub Action for app service, and much more. This is the M&AN Show. Hello everyone, and welcome along to a new episode of the M&AN Show. Make sure to subscribe to this channel right now. Just click on the subscribe button down below so you can support me and the channel. And let me know in the comment section below if there is any specific topic you want me to talk about in the next episode. Right, let's go to the first news. DCS-v2 series VM now generally available. With the general availability of DCS-v2 series VMs, we are ushering in the start of a new level of data protection in Azure. These VMs can protect the confidentiality and integrity of your data even while it's processed. Cloud administrators and data centers operators with physical access to the service cannot access protected data. Even the operating system and hypervisors cannot access it. Microsoft and Intel are committed to providing best-in-class cloud data protection through our deep ongoing partnership. This series of VM are part of the confidential computing family. Can you switch off my phone, please? Because when I say series of VM, Siri start talking. This new series of VM are part of the confidential computing family and are powered by the Intel Software Guard extension, or Intel SGX, which is a hardware module that basically inhibits all the access to the data even when they are processed. And these new capabilities basically reduce the attack surface and help protecting the sensitive information in the cloud. So go and check in the marketplace for a VM image that actually implements the confidential computing. Next one. Announcing the general availability of Windows Server containers for Azure Kubernetes Service. With the general availability of Windows Server containers, you can now lift and shift your Windows application to run on managed Kubernetes service with Azure and get the full benefits of AKS for your production workloads using consistent tools and processes. Running both Windows and Linux applications side by side in a single AKS cluster, you can modernize your operation processes while lowering the cost of your application environment. I know that nowadays most of the containerized applications rely on Linux containers, but now also the Windows application can be run in AKS without problems. You can now take your production applications running on Windows and bring them over into your AKS cluster. And still talking about AKS, another news. Azure Private Link for AKS is now generally available. You can use it to isolate your Kubernetes API server within your Azure Virtual Network, enabling fully private communication with the managed Kubernetes control plane hosted by AKS. By limiting network access to that endpoint to the virtual network, you can further limit the potential for unauthorized access and ensure that all traffic flows through trusted network paths. This is a great news that finally solved one of the issues some companies had before with using AKS. In fact, until now, AKS being a past solution used to have some public endpoints that you couldn't avoid. But now with the private link, you basically have your communication happening just inside your Azure Virtual Network. And so you do not have to rely on any public endpoint of sort. And this of course increases security and once again reduce the possible surface attack area. So if you're not using AKS yet, go and try that out. You don't have any excuse anymore. Next one is about Azure DevOps and Azure Pipelines. And in fact, we are announcing the general availability of YAML CD features in Azure Pipelines. We now offer a unified YAML experience to configure each of your pipelines to do CI, CD, or CI and CD together. If you've been following the channel for a while, and if you're not, just subscribe right now with using the button below, you know that I've been talking about Azure Pipelines before. However, the CI part of the YAML pipelines was already GA a while ago, while the CD was still in preview. CD pipeline in YAML are finally GA. If you look at the release pipelines, the classic release pipelines, I think we have everything in Azure YAML pipelines as well already, but we have much more than that. And I want to point out two things that are really cool in Azure YAML CD pipelines. The first one is the resources we have in YAML pipelines, and those are basically artifacts and triggers you can use. And you can have like other builds, other pipelines, repositories, containers, packages, etc. The second one I want to talk about is environments and deployment strategies. I did recently a video about environment, so you can check it up here. What we can do with environment is having full traceability of your deployments down to the single line of code you deployed. You can do deploying once deployment, you can do rolling updates, and so on and so forth. With the general availability of the service now is fully supported, so one more reason to try that out and see how powerful it is. Next one is about maintenance. Indeed, the maintenance control for platform updates is now generally available. The maintenance control feature for Azure Virtual Machine platform updates is now generally available for Azure dedicated hosts and isolated virtual machines. These features give you more control over platform maintenance when dealing with highly sensitive workloads. If you're using Azure, you know that sometimes they push out some updates and some platform maintenance that may or may not impact your VMs. Most of the times, this just results in a very short reboot of your VM, but still this can be impactful. You can decide to postpone the updates, to postpone the maintenance, or to do it in your time window. And be reminded that this doesn't work on normal VMs, just on dedicated hosts or isolated VMs. And last but not least, the new GitHub Action for App Service. We're announcing availability of public preview of App Service native CI/CD support for GitHub Actions. The new GitHub Action for App Service make it easy to build and publish GitHub repositories to App Service, both Linux and Windows, using either compiled source code or Dockerized builds of web applications. Users can just go to the portal to select their repository, and App Service injects their workflow file into their repository as well. When I first read this news, I was, what? GitHub Actions into the Azure portal? Yes, that's right. With this feature, you can create your GitHub action directly into the Azure portal, and that will set up a full CI/CD experience for you into your GitHub repositories directly. I've tried this out, and even though it's still in preview, it works pretty well. You just select your repository, select your application you want to deploy, and App Service into the Azure portal will create the GitHub action workflow for you and save it into your GitHub repository. So every time you push a change into that, automatically the CI/CD process will start and deploy your application to App Service. This is really great. All right. This brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comment section below if you want me to take on some different arguments in the next episode. Thank you very much for joining me today, and see you soon at CoderDave.